Hi, I am so happy to be here doing this live for the Shidduch Roundtable. I am going to tell you a little bit about myself and a little bit about what I hope to do here today. So, for starters, the words and thoughts and ideas and anything that I share here are for you. And I want to say that as much as I'm speaking to you and any of the ideas that I'm sharing are also back to myself, because I am a parent of a daughter in Shidduchim, and so I can empathize with feelings and experiences that come along with being at this stage. And at the same time, I recognize that every single person is going to have, different circumstances, different personalities, etc. And so as much as, all of you here we might have some shared commonalities, and I also know that each person is very unique, and I don't want to make any assumptions of feelings or experiences that you might be going through. So I thank you all for being here, and if you have any questions, you can put them in the box, and I'm going to try to focus on everything at the same time. I will be glancing down a little bit because I have some notes here. I have so much that I want to share with you, and I want to stay on track. So I'm a licensed mental health clinician. I'm a therapist in private practice, and so my credentials are LMHC, licensed mental health clinician, and also I now live in the state of New York, but I'm licensed in Connecticut as well. So LPC is licensed professional counselor. Just want to put that out there for clarifying any confusion about the different letters. Okay, so let's hop into this. This title was called, What Are You Looking For? And I want to address this from two different angles, from the parent and from the person who's seeking their partner. So first I want to take a moment to focus on the parents who are helping their child navigate through this stage. And for parents specifically who are helping their child with vetting, actually that part of the process where they're vetting prospective matches, I want to say first and foremost that it's so important not to make assumptions about what your child is looking for. I think if they're old enough and mature enough to be getting married, then they're old enough and mature enough to have a vision of what they want for their life, what they want what they're hoping for, their goals. And with that comes the vision of what kind of spouse, what kind of partner they would need to make their dreams a reality. So basically, it's important as a parent that you listen to what they want. And if they're interested in something and they're hoping for, whether it's a goal or some type of personality that maybe just doesn't sit right with you, I would say try and understand the meaning behind their position, which in general is a fantastic communication and connection tool to try and understand the meaning of what's behind what they want. So I would say it's the why behind the what, right? It's what they want, so look for the why behind it. It's going to give you incredible insight. And your child's values and dreams and lifestyle choices will play a role in what they're looking for. So it's important to give them the courtesy, the respect, and the space to be able for them to communicate that to you. So no assumptions about what they want. It is important to have the conversation and to be open to having them share what they're looking for. Now, if you are able to have that kind of conversation, that's wonderful. What often comes along in the wake of, beginning the search, or even, at any point during the search, fear, pressure, panic, all kinds of emotions that really could interfere with making decisions that are good for you, good for your child in the long run. Don't rush and overlook red flags. It is important to have emotional compatibility because the lifelong relationship goes so much deeper than having fun together, right? You have to click on a much deeper level. And being blinded by the glitz and glamour of dates, gifts, parties, or the societal pressure of getting married, this really only works in the short term. So you really want to ensure quality over quantity. It's not about getting your child a whole bunch of dates. They don't need a lot of dates for the sake of going out, right? They need dates with people who are compatible with them emotionally and compatible with their values and goals. So if you've already discussed with your child what they're looking for, and you're working hard to vet for somebody who will really connect with your child and their needs, it could be exceptionally challenging to be in that waiting space. It's like being on a roller coaster with your feet dangling in the air and you just Like, you just want to be on firm ground. Like, when is this going to end? Like, how much longer? And so I'm going to go more in general as like I'm having this conversation with you. I'm going to veer more towards like therapeutic ideas, and not so much hashkafa, but I do want to bring up when you have this, maybe it's anxiety. I'm not sure what you want to call the feeling, probably some kind of anxiety. I would say, like with everything else, you want to find balance between feeling like, what can I do, and feeling like overcome by it. So I've heard in the name of Rabbi Pesach Krohn, the idea of hishtadlus to be making one phone call a day, which I really like. I think it's a helpful guideline to keep to, because again, it's part of that balance where you want to, of course, put an effort and energy into helping your child. And at the same time, you don't want it to become the absolute focus of your life. Like, it takes a lot of energy, right? So you want to take time, make sure that you appreciate your child in this stage that they're in. As a young adult, take the time to appreciate their accomplishments and enjoy the time that you do have with them. And take the time also to engage in things that are joyful and meaningful to you as an individual, as a parent, just to make sure you don't get all consumed by all the big, big emotions that come along with being in this stage. So whatever I just shared was really geared towards the parents, right? What are you looking for as a parent? And now I want to shift over for anyone who is single and is looking for their partner. I want to focus on the question, what are you looking for from a different perspective? Okay, so let me just check over here. It looks like there was a question. Okay, I'm going to hopefully come back to that. Okay, what are you looking for? So I definitely don't want to make any assumptions. I'm going to generalize a little bit. So, give me some grace with this. And you can let me know if this resonates with you or not. But to generalize a bit, I believe that most people are looking for a relationship that feels safe, loving, secure, supportive. And ideally, people want to have a secure attachment in a relationship. They want to feel safe and comfortable. And to have a secure attachment in a relationship, you have to be really mindful about, you have to mindfully decide who you want to date. You have to be mindful about who you're going out with. And I kind of brought that up in the parent segment as well, right? Values, dreams, goals, lifestyle choices, lifestyle plans. These all they're huge components into making the choice of what kind of person you want to date. And surprisingly, sometimes these deeper nuances actually get lost in the shuffle and the excitement of the dating process. So, again, I'm using the term excitement, hopefully there's excitement when you're meeting somebody that you click with. And you can really use the time that you have now. If you're in that waiting space, you could use this time to really learn these things about yourself, to know, to understand, right? So you want to learn how to look for compatibility in these areas, the values, goals, dreams, lifestyle, plans, and all of that. You want to look for compatibility, and you want to actually learn communication-wise how to share them with a partner, with a prospective partner. So you want to get along personality-wise, of course, and you also want to know that you're headed in the same direction. And don't let materialistic gestures overtake the really important part of a relationship. So we're all a work in progress, all humans are, but especially for young people who are dating, right? It's not about finding like a finished product. It's not that somebody has to be like completely in a certain space. There's room for growth. It's an interesting balance between recognizing that there is room for growth, but also like you have to realize what the person is bringing to the table. So it's kind of combining both of those things. Essentially, you're looking for someone who's open and committed to working with the values that you both share towards the goals that you align on. And that's really important. So I had put up a little question box on Instagram asking people about what advice they wish they would have heard. And someone brought up a really important piece of advice. And they said, be honest with your values. And I'm going to mention the word values a lot. I'm going to go a little bit more into that in a moment. But let me explain what I think values are. I would label values as individual beliefs that motivate people to act one way or another. They serve as a guide for human behavior, and human choices for the choices we make. Your values are what guide you and what help you make important life decisions. So you really want to think about what your top 5 or 6 values are and share them with a potential partner. So I actually have these magnets that I use in my sessions sometimes. So it's part of a whole set. There's different components to it, but one of the components is actually, there's a bunch of magnets here, and you see the title is I value, and there's lots of words here. These are all values, and they're all really good words. For the most part, values are very positive. I'll read a couple of them off to you. There's communication, responsibility, commitment, accountability, knowledge, authenticity, intelligence, faith, wealth, pleasure, creativity, success, honesty, humility, humor, power, work, giving, love. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's probably 50 here, and they're all really good words. So the reason that it's really important to kind of narrow them down to what you really, really value is, well, first of all, what I said before about you're going to make life choices that align with the values that you choose. And for example, if one person values, let's say, family and community, and one person values money and power, there's going to be a lot more potential for conflict. I'm not saying people have to have exactly the same values, but you want to be pretty aligned. You want to share a few. You can have some that are different. But again, it's really important to look for somebody that aligns with what you're hoping for. Right? Working with values that you share towards the goals that you align on. Okay, so a healthy, and so that's about the values, right? A healthy and secure relationship. We're talking about hopefully looking for a partner that will help you have a secure, that you can be part of a secure relationship with. So a healthy and secure relationship will typically include respect, support, and understanding. So in addition to compatible values and goals, you also want to look for someone who makes you feel good about yourself. You want someone who you could be completely yourself around without hiding parts of who you are. If something's important to you, but you're uncomfortable telling somebody about it, that's hiding a part of yourself. So it could be really telling also the way you feel after you spend time with a person. If you feel like you're able to be authentically yourself, you're able to be completely real and natural and all you, you want to feel happy, content, valued, peaceful, right? Any of these positive feelings really shows that you're being accepted. And so that's important too. Look for somebody who makes you feel comfortable and secure in your own skin, not for anyone who's looking to change something about you. It's important. So a couple things, right? The values, feeling comfortable. It's important to focus on what you really, really want, you as a person who's looking for a partner, and not let comparison get in your way, because it can be so easy to look at others and compare, right? Especially when things look picture perfect. Literally, if you're seeing people's pictures and they look so nice, right? Don't compare your behind the scenes with everybody else's highlight reels. You're going to do yourself a tremendous disservice. Perfection doesn't really exist. You're aiming to create a perfect bond in a relationship that's perfect for you. So that's important to really, keep focused on what works for you. Doctors John and Julie Gottman are world-renowned therapists, researchers, and based on decades of research, they have shared that 69% of problems in relationships are perpetual problems. That means that you want to pick the problems that you can live with. So somebody else shared an important piece of advice too, and I want to read that out. They wrote, "Don't compromise. If you think something is an issue while dating, it will most likely start bothering you even more when you are married. It won't go away." And I think this goes hand in hand with the idea of pick the problems you can live with. Nobody's perfect, but you want to find something that is okay for you, that you can recognize and you really are okay with it, not something that you're overlooking or you're hoping will go away or you're planning to change. You want to really aim for that relationship that's a good fit for you without trying to hide any of yourself and without trying to ignore anything that's cropping up. And sometimes it's really hard because it seems like things are going really well, and then you notice an issue that's starting to bother you, and you're almost hoping it's not really there because the rest of the relationship is going really well, but it might be something really fundamental, a really big thing. It might be something smaller but really bothersome. Maybe it's a value or a goal that you're not aligning on. maybe things look great on paper, but then you're just not relating well to each other. And that could be hard too, because you're like, well, everything, like all the boxes are checking off, but then just something's missing, but I really want this to work because it seems so great, right? And that could be really challenging or disappointing. So, and it's hard because also you don't want to get back out there and start over when you're in like a pretty good thing, right? Then there's the social pressures, timelines that we create for ourselves to add to the stress, right? It has to be by a certain time, whether it's an age or a stage or time of year or whatever it is. So societal pressures and timelines and hopes and comparisons and all these things really add to the stress. So please recognize all these things are external and remind yourself that you don't have to buy into them. And if you're part of a, in the middle of a dating process and it's just not going where you hope that it would go, something's not clicking, or there's like, you're noticing some fundamental differences and you're just kind of disappointed, remember that every date you go on is a real learning experience. Now, I'll still stand by what I said before, which is quality over quantity, right? You're not looking to go on a lot of dates just for the experiences. You really want to try to get the quality of the person that you're hoping to be compatible with. But if you are in that situation where it's not really working out, then I hope you can take this message to heart that every single date, you're going to learn more about what you do need and what you don't need. So when the pressure really creeps up, you're going to remind yourself that you're doing what you can, and you can mark your own map of growth and progress, things that you're learning about yourself. Like, take pride in that, notice it. And the search to find your partner is a journey that's really tailor-made for you. So the more you're able to lean into the process and view it as a real growth experience without feeling the pressure of a timeline or without feeling like you're being judged by others. I would say I'm trained in IFS, which is internal family systems. And it's interesting because in IFS, when things come up, we view them as like parts of yourself. So if these parts do come up, the part that feels bound by a timeline or the part that feels judged by others, it could be really helpful and soothing to explore each of these parts more deeply and personally, but almost to like, I don't want to say externalize them because they are internal, hence internal family systems, but to view them as a part of yourself and not get sucked in by them. So that could be really helpful. And I just have a couple of ideas. If you are in a space where you're feeling emotionally depleted, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas of skills that you can actively work on and practice while you're in this space. Just glancing at my notes because I had so many things I wanted to share, and I want to make sure I mention them all. Okay. This is a big one. It actually came up so often in recent sessions, and I was like, I have to share this with you because it's such a crucial relationship skill. And if you can practice it, you could be at any age or stage. This is a fantastic skill to practice. And so you could even start working on your, relationship with your spouse before you're in the relationship with your spouse. And this is a big one. It's the ability to give validation and empathy. Okay, this is something you can practice with friends and family. It's all about those listening skills. There's other listening skills that are important, but validation and empathy are the ones that I want to focus on right now. Basically, what you want to do is you're taking in what people are saying, right? And you're imagining what the experience that they're sharing with you, they're telling you something, you're taking it in, and you're imagining what that was like for them, and you want to offer back to them, right? If someone says, for example, I was sitting in traffic for an hour and a half. It took me forever to get here. You might think, well, what does it feel like to be in traffic for an hour and a half, right? You might say to them, that sounds so boring or tedious or frustrating or whatever you think it might be, right? And you can ask them, was that what it was like for you? And it's just a way of connecting. It's just a way of acknowledging the other person's experience, right? Validation or empathy. Wow, that sounds so hard. You got home really late, or whatever feels comfortable and natural for you to say, but just practicing taking in what the person is saying, connecting an emotion to it, giving them space for just acknowledging what they may have been feeling and checking in with them. So you're practicing being a good listener and coming into a relationship with that skill. Take it from me, I see couples all the time who are trying to learn this skill. It is so valuable. So it's a great skill to practice. And then the other skill that you can practice is boundaries, which is such a buzzword, and I don't want to give you the wrong idea of what boundaries are. Boundaries are about recognizing what energizes you and what drains you. So you want to be able to preserve your physical, emotional, and mental health, right? And boundaries kind of are a guideline for this. There's certain ways of setting down boundaries. That's kind of why I'm like hesitating to share like this buzzword of boundaries, because it's not just about making sudden changes, and there's ways to implement boundaries. But bottom line is that they play a vital role in maintaining healthy relationships, where you are able to communicate your expectations, and you're practicing communicating your needs, and you're learning how to say no to things that compromise your well-being. And these are really powerful messages that you're sending, not only to others, but also to yourself. You're cultivating the sense of like balance in a relationship, and it's healthy. Overall, it provides a sense of well-being when you know your strengths and capabilities, what you need to preserve your energy and what you're willing to do. And again, this is not so black and white. Sometimes people, are able to push themselves a little bit out of their comfort zone. But again, the more you know yourself, the more you're going to be able to judge when you can and when you can't. But this is about knowing what you want and not about boundaries. I just wanted to bring that up as things you can work on, while you're on this in a waiting space. And so practicing these skills and just kind of keeping in mind, especially, I want to go back to the idea of the values, something to really keep in mind to, if you want to reach out, I'm happy to send you a list of values if you want to go over them. You can Google a list of values, but it's really, really helpful to just know these things about yourself. And again, that's where the idea of validation and empathy comes in. That's where the idea of boundaries come in. The more you know yourself, the more you're going to be clear on what you want and know what you could be looking for. So I hope that this has been helpful to you as far as guiding you towards what you're really looking for. And with that, I will wrap up. I'll give it a minute or two just to see if any questions come up. Okay, I will wrap up with that. I am Robin Gutman. You can find me at Robin Gutman _LPC, and reach out at any time if you have any questions. I see individuals and couples, and I work on relationship skills, communication, individual self-work, all kinds of things like that. So happy to answer any questions that you might have. Again, you can reach out to me, DM me on my private page, and it was a pleasure for me to be here tonight, and I hope you got something out of it. Take care.